Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Atmopanishad, Atma plus Upanishad, according to the Sanskrit Sandhi rules, A followed by U becomes O. Therefore, Atmopanishad. What is the meaning of Upanishad? Bhagwan Shankaracharya writes in his commentary on Kathopanishad, Upanishad Shabdena Brahma Vidya Uchyate. By the word Upanishad, Brahma Vidya is meant. Upanishad is not a book. Upanishad is our own being. When we decipher this word Upanishad technically, it is made up of three parts: Upa, Ni and Shad. Upa is the prefix, Ni is another prefix, Shad is a root, a dhatu, which has got three meanings. Gati, Avasharana, Himsa, three. Gati, the destination. Avasaran, loosening, weakening. Himsa, destruction. So, this knowledge is such that it leads us to the destination of our being. Second thing, loosening Avasharana. It loosens the impact of relative world, although we are living in the relative world. And Himsa, destruction. It destroys four wrong notions. We are all leading our life notionally. I have a notion that I am a body. I have a notion the world is too much for me. I have a notion that the God is sitting above the clouds. I have a notion spiritual practice means going to the Hanumanji's temple and hitting the coconut on his head. Therefore, Hanuman is standing there with a mace in the hand. If somebody can give one. See, friends. So, these four notions are to be destroyed. All these things happen through the study of Upanishad. And therefore, Upanishad is not a book. Upanishad is not a word. There is one text. According to that text, the name of the text is Shiva Sutra. It is one of the most subtle texts, very difficult. In that Shiva Sutra, the meaning of mantra is indicated, one full chapter. And the meaning of mantra is something like this. Somebody's name is, let us say, Vishwanath. So you ask his wife, who is Vishwanath? Who else? He only. Meaning of the Vishwanath is a disgusting existence called as a miserable person, husband. Remember I had told you long time back the meaning of husband? Husband is actually a Hindi word adopted in English. Has means smile, Band means stop. The one whose smile stops after marriage is called as husband. Here you may laugh, ghar jaake dikhao. So, for that wife, the meaning of the word husband, Vishwanath is husband. You ask his son, do you know Vishwanath? Vishwanath? Hitler? Who else? For every son, the father is a Hitler. Then you ask the devotee of Lord Vishwanath. Do you know Vishwanath? Vishwanath Baba from Banaras. I am a great devotee. You ask a grammarian, he will break that word into pieces. And he will tell you, it is the Shashti Tatpurush Samas. You will understand nothing about it. And ultimately, you ask to that man, whose name is Vishwanath. Do you know Vishwanath? Mai hu na? And friends, when the meaning of the word terminates in being, then the mantra sadhana is complete. See, when the words carry no meaning, it is a noise. Like while talking to you, suddenly in between, suppose I say, and therefore my friends, so what you will say, what happened to Swamiji? Some screw fallen? Because this has no meaning. In the same manner, Om Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. What is the meaning of Om? I don't know. What is the meaning of Ram? I don't know. So this Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram is equal to no meaning. Upanishad means our being, our presence. See, friends. And when this presence is revealed, as yesterday we have seen, mind survives on the diet of the memories of the past as carbohydrates. Elder the age, more is the garbage of the past. See? And then worries about the future and comparison in the present. These are the three diets. Now start with this. Suppose we very consciously, with all awareness, do not bring the past in the present. Then we switch off the future. Then what is the experience? The present. Present is a tense. When we live in the present as a tense, then the past tense and future tense is born, and thereafter our life is lived in tenses and tensions. And the whole life is only just talking about the tenses. When we were children, who cares? See, friends, all the time talking in tenses. I don't know what is going to happen. Swamiji, what is your opinion on about 21st December 2012? You know that date? It's a universal date. Therefore, when we block, rather we delete the past, we block the future, then we are in the present. Step number 1. Present without past and future is equal to presence. Without this presence, world cannot be established. Yesterday, another point I told you. Knowledge takes place only if there is a knower. See, I am a husband only if I have a wife. If I don't have a wife, I cannot be husband. Then who am I? Happy. See, in this world there are only two types of people. You know, this happened in Brazil. There was one elderly person, he used to come for my retreat, 3 days retreat, and he will come with this, that yoga mattress and sleeping things, everything. And when we used to have a meditation session, he will say, Swamiji, will you mind if I lie down here? I said, no, lie down. So right in front of me, like a Kumbhakarna, he will lie down. And meditation going on. See? And after everything was over, he said, Swamiji, I want to ask you, you Indian Swamis, why you don't get married? So I kept quiet. Then he said, after all, happiness is not everything. So unless there is a present, there cannot be past and future. Number one. Unless there is presence, the world cannot exist. See, friends, it is here we go deeper and deeper in our understanding. See, the experience that we have, you are seeing me, I am seeing you. Now, where this knowledge is taking place, whether you are seeing me in you or outside you, and what is the medium wherein I am caught in your knowledge? See, friends, so we imagine that we are seeing each other, but the truth is, what is seen is only the reflected light. In between us also there is light, but there is nothing to reflect upon. But when the light falls on any object, then the light gets reflected, and the reflected light alone is comprehended by the eyes, number one. Second thing, this object forms an image on the retina. And it is this image which is caught, not the object. And if the image is not properly formed, if it is distorted, our knowledge about the image and through the image about the object will be also distorted. And where this knowledge is taking place? In the mind. And if our mind is frustrated, then the experience is different. See? One day, one of my old friend, his friend died. That time I was pretty young, handsome, smart, etc. etc. So he said, Swamiji, we have to go there, my friend died, so I want to pay visit, you also come with me. So I went. The dead body was lying down. So we offered flowers, what your local tradition, took one pradakshina. When they are alive, we don't care. When they are dead, we do all these things, thank God you are going. It is a thank God ceremony, Thanksgiving ceremony. So, after that I sat there with a swollen face. So my friend said, Swamiji, speak something on Gita. I said, he is not listening. And you never want to listen. For whom should I speak? Then I said, sit here with a swollen face for 2 minutes, that is enough. You should do the drama perfectly well. Because when somebody dies, how do you know that the remaining ones are really miserable? We only imagine. Maybe they are happy. See? So we should not spoil somebody's happiness. So we came out. And thereafter he said, Swamiji, he was driving. I think next is my number. I said, take the car on the shoulder and then die. Then I told him, I said, my dear, I used to call him Kaka, he was a Gujarati. I said, Kaka, you tell me, once you told me that, Swamiji, when you are not even born, since then I am studying Vedanta, Upanishad. And this is what you have learned. Friends, if you have studied Bhagavad Gita, you have lost your right to be miserable. If you are studying Upanishad, You have lost your right to die. You cannot. Show me. See, friends, we never suffer because of death. We suffer because of the fear of death. And the fear is born from three sources. Source number one, the gross body. Two fears, old age and death. Second, the pranamaya kosha. Two fears, hunger and thirst. The third source, the mind. The shoka moha, the grief and delusion. These are the 6 factors which initiate a fear complex in our system. And a person who is leading a fearful life, he is not living life, he is living death. Upanishad liberates us from these wrong notions about ourselves. See, friends. And therefore, when we have studied the gross body, the external Atma, the external self, and we have seen this body, if we accept ourselves, nothing wrong, but then also accept all the attributes associated with the body. If you have come to this country to earn dollars, then also accept everything associated which comes along with the dollars. When you are in Rome, behave like Romans. When you are in America, wash dishes. You have to accept it. But if you say, no, back home we don't do like that, then go back. Don't stay here. In the same manner, if we are living as a body, accept gracefully all that is with reference to the body. See, friends. After this is clearly understood, then we took the second step. Can this body be me? Then we come to know the body is not created by us, the body never listens to us, and yet I am the body. And we are very intelligent. See, one young boy asked me this question. Swamiji, yes, I don't believe in God. He was with his mother, old mother. So I called him, I said, come near. I told him in his ear, I also don't believe. Naturally, he was so frustrated, he expected that I will say, no, my child, you should believe in God. He said, you also don't believe? I said, no, I don't believe. But then how you are, Swami? He said, by mistake. Then I asked him, do you believe that you are, or you know that you are? We know we are. We don't believe we are. Belief is required in the field of ignorance. And when the knowledge takes place, you don't require belief. See, friends. And therefore, once we take this, that this body is not created by us, it doesn't listen to us, therefore, keep away from the body. How do we keep away from the body? Destroy? No. Function through the body, but never live as the body. Now this is what is called as reflection in the path of knowledge or inquiry. What do we mean by I am someone other than the body? Work on it. See, one of the techniques I'll tell you, which has helped me a lot. We went to Miami, not Miami, Hawaii. And lunchtime we went to some Chinese restaurant, and my friend, he said, you sort out what you have to do. And there was a big aquarium in that hotel. So with my camera I went, and I was taking some pictures, some video, and shots, beautiful, and watching. So my friend, Swamiji, you are interested in fish? I said, only to look at, not for eating. So you are watching fish? I said, no. Then I said, you imagine what I am watching? Maybe that long fish like a snake? I said, no. Maybe the tortoise? I said, no. Maybe that Nemo type of fish? I said, no. Maybe inside decoration? I said, no. Maybe the size of the aquarium? I said, no. I don't know that. I said, don't get angry, I will tell you. I am watching the water. What are you watching in the water? I said, I am trying to get the experience. What must be the experience of the water? When the fish moves in the water, will the water get tickling? Don't move. When we add n number of fish in that water, is it a burden for the water? When we remove few fish from the same aquarium, is it a lightness for the water? And if there is no fish left inside the water, is it a total loss to the water? So what happens to the water? Whether fish are added or removed, they are there or they are not there, it makes no difference, is it not? Now apply this principle. Take the position of being space. In this space, whether new galaxies are created or few are destroyed, nothing happens to the space. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyaapaha, na shosheti marutaha, अच्छेद्योयम अदाह्योयम अक्लेद्योयम अशोष्य एवच नित्य सर्वगतस्थाणुः. See, the space is what? The earth cannot bend the space, the waters cannot wet the space, the fire cannot burn the space, and the air cannot dry the space, and all of them cannot exist without space. So we just take, don't do meditation, play meditation. See, what is playing? In playing you do not create Mr. I. See, then you will bypass time. When you do meditation you will suffer, I guarantee you. Meditation is nothing but silent suffering collectively done. And when everybody suffers, nobody complains. How was the meditation? Oh, it was really great today. Why? Less headache. That's it. So only play meditation. Now see how I is not created when you play meditation, and when I is not created, you transcend time, you go beyond time. When I is there is a concept of time. See? Like you have come over here at a particular time, and after some time the lecture will be over. And if there is someone, and I like those people the most, they come for the satsang and switch off. They sleep comfortably. For them, they have already transcended time. See? There were two persons, this happened in Bombay. One person straight away slept, putting his leg on the next person. Very elderly man sleeping like this. And I was watching, and I am enjoying. My life is a celebration, I don't calibrate. So, this Kumbhakarna who was sleeping, and the pillow on whom he was sleeping, the pillow was getting very distant. What I see from here, you cannot see from there. So, the pillow thought, I must wake him up. So he moved like this thing, so that he will fall down. But Kumbhakarna was genetically Kumbhakarna. He put his hand around the pillow, pulled the pillow. I was enjoying. See? And after that was over, lecture was over. He got up. He was the only one who really was awakened. Others were only sleeping. See? He was awakened and he came. Swamiji, your lecture was terrible. It is so good. I said, thank you. Very few people have understood it. And he went. And the pillow was boiling inside him. And the pillow said to me, Swamiji, when you saw him sleeping, why didn't you tell him to wake up? I said, first of all, cool down and talk to him. Then I asked him, what for you have come here? For becoming miserable or for discovery of happiness? Of course, I came from happiness, but that man, I said, cool, cool. I'll tell you. That man got happiness. You are still struggling. Therefore, those who go to satsang and sleep, they are the real satsangi. And those who are awake, they are struggling to understand. Can't understand. There is nothing to understand. Stand under it and you are happy. See, friends. So when a person sleeps, no time is born. Because there is nobody there. So whenever there is somebody, Mr. I, then only we are caught up by the time. See, friends, live in this world in such a manner that don't allow I to be born. Then you can transcend the time. See, friends, an example will make it clear. One of my professional requirements is going and taking food in different people's home and also telling them that it is good. You can imagine my tragedy. How many times you can tell lies? So I went to somebody's house. And as usual, the food is never ready, so I had to wait. And I had no choice. I am a choiceless existence. So Swamiji, it will take 15 minutes time. I said, it's okay. I had to be goody because I am a Swami. I said, it's okay, never mind. Take your own time. I'll read newspaper. They had a son, about 8 years. Swamiji, no newspaper. I said, okay, no newspaper. No, you play carom with me. I said, look here, man, I don't know that rubbish game. I'll teach you. No, I had to take food in his house. I can't say no. I said, okay. He put the carom board. And he was extremely wonderful in playing the dice. So, when my turn came, I thought that this fellow is going to defeat me. And I am a Swami, how can I accept defeat? Then I used the standard Indian Jugaad technology. In the Jugaad technology, yena kena prakarena, how you do is not the criteria, you do is the criteria. Like the rule of the Jugaad technology is, theft is not a crime unless you are caught. So simple it is. So keeping that maxim in my mind, when my turn came, I asked him, looking at some picture on the wall. I say, whose picture is that? When he looks that side, I'll put 2-3 cents. How does it matter? It has come to you, that is important. So once, twice, thrice I was caught. And then he started crying. Mommy, Swamiji cheat. I said, look here, don't start like that. Again we start, you will win. I will not do it. Okay, promise. We started. Then the same technique I used and I started putting the coins in his pocket. And halfway, when we are through, then the mother said, Swamiji, food is ready. I said, come on, let us take food, throw it away. No, we have to complete the game. Now I am winning, you are afraid. Now be attentive. For that child, victory and defeat was an issue. For me, 15 minutes was just a time pass. And when it was just a time pass, this principle of time pass is given in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. Sukha dukkhe same krutva, labha labho jaya jayo, tato yuddhaja yujjasva, naivam papam avapsasi. When we are living in this world, interacting with this world, following things happen. Either we win the game or we lose the game. Second thing, if we win, we gain. If we are defeated, we lose. Third thing, if we gain, we are happy. If we lose, we are miserable. The teacher says, when you are interacting with the world, be magnanimous to accept victory and defeat, gain and loss, joy and sorrow equally. When they become equal, then there is neither I nor you. Just in this example I gave, for that child, defeat and victory was an issue, and therefore he was excited. And for me, it was just a time pass, therefore I enjoyed. See friends, this is the only way to go beyond time. Don't make issue out of anything in this world. Nothing should be made as an issue. See? Then you will see your life is at ease. What your best you can do, do it. And thereafter don't be worried, rest. See, one example I will tell you. This happened in Delhi. One of my friends, he was working with some consultancy firm, and they were preparing a report for getting the venture capital or the money for various projects. So one company appointed him, or that company, that we want to start a steel plant in this area, so kindly prepare a report for us. So he prepared 6 months, he worked hard, studied and got all the Google cut paste, and finally he prepared a very fat report and gave it to them. And when it was given, the company CEO told him, keep it there. He phoned the secretary, gave him his check, and he walked away. And when he came to his office, his face was, hanging. His boss asked, what happened to you? See, 6 months, day and night I worked. And when I gave the report to that person, he did not even open one page. And I got so frustrated. He said, look here, did you get the payment? Yes, forget about it. See friends, you have done your job. Thereafter, don't go further. This is the rule if you follow in your life, in your management team. Boss is always right, rule number 1. But if boss is wrong, what should be done? Follow rule number 1. You have a limitation. Function within your limitations. Do not cross your limitations and become miserable in this world. See friends, if this is not understood, all the time we are tense, frustrated, angry, dejected. No. See, therefore, who is the culprit who is creating the bondage of time? Mr. I. So when I was playing with that child, that time I was not playing as a player to win or get defeated. It was just a time pass. Whether I win or I defeat, I am not going to gain or lose. Then what for I was doing it? Till the food is ready, I had to somehow pass time. Just observe this in your mind. You will start remaining at ease all the time. And when the mind where images of the world are formed, when that mind is quiet, alert and vigilant, 3 things. When the mind is quiet, reflection will be perfect. Things will be seen as they are. But when the mind is not quiet, when the mind is not vigilant, when the mind is not alert, we don't see what is. We have already decided to see something in this world. The day we are able to see what is, understand, we have helped ourselves to go beyond the impact of time. Therefore, why many people suffer in meditation? Because they do meditation. When you do meditation, I is born. I'll give an example. When I was studying, I am very poor in my memory. I cannot by heart or remember anything. Forget people's name. Even Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, nothing I remember. So one day I was asked, you chant 15th chapter of Gita? And I could not. So I was punished. Write down 15th chapter of Gita in Sanskrit 25 times. I was so angry with what to do. I had to write Om Bhagavan Vacha Urdhva and after wrote 25 times, take it. If your teacher is a military sergeant and you are a military recruit, if you do some mistake, what will be the punishment? Lift your rifle, go around the parade ground, 21 rounds with the haversack on the back. You run. Why punishment? If you are a student of yoga and if you do some mistake, what will be the punishment given by the yogi? Do pranayam for 21,000 times. Oh, 21,000 times. My nose will fall. Okay, not 21,000, do it 100 times. No, it is too much. Okay, do it 21 times. Yes, I can try that. And then you do. After you finish 21, you immediately want to stop doing pranayam. Be attentive. When we are doing pranayam, we get tired. Has anybody ever said, I am tired of breathing? I don't want to breathe. What is the difference? In difference is when pranayam is done, I is born. Along with the I, the twin called as time is born. But when breathing is happening, we don't do breathing. Observe this. In the same manner, don't do meditation. Let meditation happen. Do we do waking? No. We are in waking and then do the things. Do we do dreaming? No. We are in the dream and then go through good and bad experiences. Do we do the deep sleeping? No. We are in deep sleep, then we snore. Try to snore when you are awake. You cannot. In the same manner, extend one step further. We have to live in meditation and then do the things in this world. This is what in the second chapter of Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about this topic. Then only we can go beyond time. Arjuna's question there is, Atha Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava Stitadhi kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. Oh Lord, you are glorifying a man of steady wisdom again and again. What is the meaning of meditation for the man of steady wisdom? And how does he react in this world? How does he move around in this world? And what is the foundation on which the quality of his life is resting? What is that foundation? 4 questions are asked. The Pharaoh's meditation means sit in one posture for half an hour, miserably meditation. Simply sitting in one posture for half an hour is meditation. Then all the buffaloes in India are the great yogis. Right on the main road, they will be sitting with a steady wisdom. Rumination goes on. And when a truck comes, That buffalo looks at the truck, tells, "Don't you know I am the RTO? How you dare honk at me?" Simply sitting in one posture cannot be meditation. See, friends, we have to live in meditation. When we start living in meditation, then only our wisdom is steady. See, friends, we have to grow wise. And we can grow wise only if we learn from our experiences of life. If we do not learn from the experiences of our life, we grow old and otherwise. When we are old and otherwise, nobody wants us. But when we are wise, everybody wants us. Because in this world, wisdom alone is respected. So to be in that experience of meditation and thereafter function in this world. And what is that experience of meditation? Experience of meditation is that experience where Mr. I is not born. Be very attentive. Action without a doer. Knowledge without the knower. And joy without an enjoyer is the experience of the Absolute. And it is for this purpose, understanding has to be distinctly clear. With this clear understanding, when we live in this world, then we are living in meditation. See? And when such a person is living in meditation, he has different symptoms. So the first step, what is the meaning of meditation for a man of steady wisdom? Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmannevatmana tushtaha stita prajnas tadocchate. Yada sarvan manogatan kaman prajahati. He who does not entertain any load of any kind of desires. Desire-free existence is God realization. The reason why we are happy in the deep sleep is only one reason. We have no desires. With one desire you go to sleep, your whole sleep will be destroyed. Suppose you have to catch a flight in the morning, 6 o'clock, international flight. 2 hours before you have to reach, 4 o'clock. You have to drive for 1 hour, 3 o'clock. You have to get ready to end half o'clock. Then you want to eat food and go to sleep very early, 8 o'clock. You do that, go to sleep. So that you can wake up on time, finish bath, become fresh and go. From 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock up to end half o'clock. At least 365 times you wake up. One desire does not allow us a peaceful sleep. We are carrying the Himalaya of desires. And then we say, "Oh, Swamiji, I am very miserable. What can I do? Tathastu." See, friends, this is a very simple observation. Therefore, yada sarvan manogatan kaman prajahati. Does it mean it is a state of deep sleep? See? Does it mean it is a depression? See, friends, there is a hairline difference between depression and dispassion. Dispassion is an expression of wisdom. And depression is the abnormal mental anomaly. It is a disease. It is not a healthy condition. But in both the conditions, a person with dispassion withdraws from the world, and a person who is in depression, he also withdraws. See, friends, So when we are able to function in this world dynamically, but reserve the freedom to be happy. Therefore the second step is Atmaneva Atmana Tushtaha. He is at peace with himself. See, two things. If these two things are consciously observed 24/7, please remember, spiritual life is not a part-time profession. It is a full-time preoccupation. Otherwise, our condition will be like that person who went to the doctor. Doctor said, yes, I am too fat as you see me. Yes. Kindly give me some diet so that I can reduce weight. Okay. Doctor wrote down the full chart. This is the food you should eat. Come after 3 months. After 3 months she came double the size. Doctor was shocked. What happened? How it is possible? This nutrition chart I had tried on hundreds of people. Tell me what you did. Doctor Saab, after finishing my usual food, I used to eat this. Now what can you do to such an intelligent person? See, friends. Therefore, these two things. Live intelligently, not intellectually. Intellectuals are intelligently miserable, and intelligent people are never miserable. See? Take an example about this. We go to the saints and sages with all our problems, and we interact with them, they interact with us. Take an imaginary example. One husband comes to me and tells, Swamiji, I am extremely disturbed and miserable. My wife is such a terrible Mahakali, Bhadrakali. I am fed up, I don't know what should I do. And he starts crying, complaining about his wife. Now I, as a Swami, respond in two ways. One way, I respond as a real Swami. I tell him, look here my friend, you are a husband, is it not? Husband is a common noun. It is not a proper noun. And no husband in this world is ever happy. Therefore, if you are miserable, it is a normal condition. And when there is a problem for everyone, it is not a problem. So it's okay, take it coolly. But what should I do? Fix one gadget I give you in your ear. The gadget is selective hearing. When she calls you for food, that time you should listen. When she asks you something, don't listen. You will be happy. Thank you, Swamiji. You have relieved me from all my troubles. So I am a good Swami. Now when the same husband came and started crying, now I respond again as a Swami. Look here, my friend, you are miserable because of your wife, but I am also miserable. I don't have a single wife. Will anybody call me a Swami? Wise people are never miserable. Gata asuna gata asuscha nano shochanti pandita. So what is the spiritual life? Be happy. One of the highest spiritual practice. But we are so complicated. See? There was a seeker who went to a Mahatma in the Himalayas. And the Mahatma was very happy type. So when this person came, immediately the Mahatma got up, and before this person comes, Mahatma did namaskar to him, Sahtanga. Bhagwan, welcome, welcome, welcome. So he said, sir, what you are doing this, I am supposed to do you, Swami, namaskar, you are doing to me? He said, look here, you have more sacrifice than I have. Therefore you deserve salutations from me. How come? He said, look here, I have sacrificed this finite world to attain oneness with the infinite. You have sacrificed the infinite to get the finite world. Is it not your sacrifice more than me? It's very true. Then, sir, I have come to take instruction from you. I want to grow spiritually. So the Mahatma said, my dear friend, you are absolute conscious blissful existence. You are Parabrahma Paramatma. Don't forget that. Assert that you are divine. Thereafter the Mahatma stopped talking. After some time this person got up, went. I think this Mahatma doesn't know anything. Simply telling that I am divine now. Nothing is going to happen. He went to another Mahatma. Many people go for Guru shopping when they go to India. You know, in Melbourne, I was talking for 6 days and the topic was Guru shopping. So, this person went for a Guru shopping. Another Mahatma. And what he did, sir, I went to that Mahatma, but I don't think he knows anything. He told me that I am divine. Is it ever possible without doing sadhana? How can I be divine? Yes, my child, you are perfectly right. Unless you do lot of spiritual practice, how can you realize? This Mahatma knows. Then this Mahatma said, look here, we have got 200 cows. You go there every day, and a whole day spend time there and do go seva. Serve the cattle. So give them food and remove their cow dung and urine and wash them and do lot of seva. For how many days, Maharaj? Not long, maybe about 32 years. So 32 years, this fellow is washing the cows, cleaning the cow dung and all that. After living so many years among the cows, he started smelling like cows. And then he goes to the Mahatma, sir, 32 years are over. Yes, my dear child, I remember. Tomorrow, take nice bath. Sit in the washing machine and then come out. You are smelling stinky. Become fresh and come in the morning. Don't go to the cow buyers. He comes next day. And this Mahatma says, you are divine. Now this seeker becomes angry. This is what he also told me 32 years before. And you tell the same thing. What is the use? He said, cool. Because you did not listen to that Mahatma, as a punishment of this, you have to do this Mahapapa Karma for 32 years. Had you listened to him that time, this would never have come to you. Now you don't listen to me, next step is, you will go and clean the human dung. Think, friends, we do not want the truth as it is. See, friends, don't struggle in life. The more we remain in awareness. And what is the awareness? These two things. Do not carry the burden of desires. I want this thing, I want that thing, I want this thing, I want that thing. Just observe. Since childhood, how many desires we have fulfilled? 1? Thousands. But have we discovered fulfillment in life? And yet we don't learn from our own experiences. Our wrong equation is fulfillment of desires is equal to fulfillment in life is wrong. It's not right. Fulfillment in life can come when we grow out of desires. And this can happen only if we learn from the experiences of our own life. See? How many desires we have fulfilled. I want that, I want, you get it. Next time, in no time it is outdated. See, in India, this happens. Here also it must be happening. Earlier there used to be a lot of children in the family. Hum do hamare आधा डजन. But now we do, and we have got per head half, only one child. Both of them earning. So anything that useless child wants, desire is fulfilled. So he sees some kind of video game or the digital game, He want, mommy, I want that. They go to the market and buy that. So by the time he is coming home, in the car itself he is playing, nothing else. By the time he comes home, it is outdated. Then another game, another game. Are we not doing the same thing? How many desires we have fulfilled in our life, but we have never looked within. We have not yet discovered fulfillment in life. Therefore, when we are cool, alert and vigilant, then we start learning from our own experiences. And first step in the learning process is desire fulfillment cannot be the purpose of life. Think. That doesn't mean that we are leading a disgusted life. I don't have interest in anything, What is there to see, No. Atmannev atmana tushtaha. He who is at peace with himself. Friends, he who is at peace with himself, he is happy with anything and anybody, in any place at any time. Because he is like a sample of waters. What is the difference between the water and the ice cubes? Ice cubes are comfortable only in their socket. You take out all the ice cubes from the tray, put it in a jar, and see how they are. Everybody has got their own personality. But when all the ice cubes melt away and it becomes water, then whether it is a petri dish, whether it is a test tube, or it is a capillary tube, everywhere the water is at home. Living in meditation means we are at peace with ourselves and therefore at peace with the whole world. This experience of yours at this moment is reaching the doorsteps of divinity. You are not imagining now. You are not believing now. This is your experience. At this moment, you are neither man nor woman, neither rich nor poor. And therefore, I has disappeared. When this I disappears, we live in meditation. When this I disappears, we transcend time. When I disappears, we transcend objects because all desires are quietened. And when all desires are quietened, then we can test the bliss that we are. We have not done karma, we have not done yoga, we have not chanted Lord's name, we have not gone to temple, we have not done charity, yet what experience we have at this moment is not created experience. Only this experience is revealed to us. It is already there. We are merely introduced to ourselves. It is something like reverting back to the factory settings. See, friends, life becomes extremely simple. And when we really start living in meditation like this, then what will be our experiences in this world? Experiences will be of three types. World will come to us, or we will go to the world, and where are we standing? Where from we are interacting with the world? Is the foundation very shaky or the foundation very firm? These three things. So the first thing, when the world comes to us, how do we interact with the world? See? Dukkheshu anudvignamanaha, sukheshu vigataspruhaha, vitaraga bhayakrodaha stitadihi muni uchyate. Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, when we interact with the world, two things can happen, possibly. One thing is either we get joy or we get sorrows. Now be very attentive. Joy and sorrows can be attributed to somebody or something. We can attribute. The cause of miseries that come to me is my wife, my in-laws, my outlaws, the government, the climate. We can allot causations to various factors for the miseries that come in our life. We can do that. But we are all miserable by choice. See, all of you must have been going so many countries, and in some countries you have to fill in a very long form. And questions are there, not 1, 2, 3, a dozen questions. Number 1, reply yes and no across the box. First question, are you a member of active terrorist organization? Yes, no. So who is going to write yes? The question is. Then, are some criminal proceedings pending against you? Yes, no. So many things. And after that you sign. In the same manner, if somebody has said yes, he is in trouble. Exactly the same way. When we were entering this world, at the immigration counter from the divine to the devilish world, there was a form given to all of us. And on that form it was written, you are entering the territory of all miseries. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya. Now you are entering the territory of infinite miseries. Question, do you want to be miserable? Option, yes, no. Those who are tick mark misery, yes, they are miserable. Those who are tick mark no, even God cannot make you miserable if you refuse to be miserable. Come to exercise your freedom rather than complaining. See, complaining can never dissolve any problem. We have to sort it out. See, one of the complaints is, whenever I sit for meditation, there are too many bad thoughts. What should I do? This is a complaint. See, I don't get any thoughts. No, not you, I get. I said, you get, you should know what I can do. I can't enter your mind. Instead of complaining, investigate, find out. You will discover. And for that, the basic requirement is dukkheshu anudvignamanaha. When miseries come to us, exercise your choice. Refuse to be miserable. See, I was staying in Madhav and Vira's house for last 3 days. Now my headquarters is shifted. So I get all the comforts, everything. Now one of my friends asked, Swamiji, I am going to carry, can you suggest me where to go? So I will tell, of course you go to Madhav, Veera, they are very nice hosts. Now who is at fault, me or them? Because they have respected me, I will send another guest. Suppose they had done the other way around. When I go to their house, when I go to take bath, they switch off the water. And then, oh Swamiji, we are sorry, we forgot, to switch on it. And then, when I am taking food, there will be only salt in one sabji and only chilies in other dal. Oh, I have forgotten. Every day, every interaction, a torture. Thereafter, I go away. Somebody asks me, I am going to carry, where can I go? Go anywhere, don't go there. If this example is clear, now apply this example. If miseries come to us and we honor, respect the miseries by becoming miserable, then that misery will go away and she will come across another misery. Hey, is there any better place? Yes, go to Swamiji. It's very nice. Learn to insult, make the miseries miserable. You don't become miserable. Dukkheshu anudvignamana. And miseries don't come to whom? Everyone has one or the other source of misery. Even the electric post. What is the misery for the electric post? I don't know here, but in India I can tell you. In the morning, these ammas, the ladies I call amma. For me, everybody is a mother, so I don't have to think. So, these ammas will get up in the morning with the nightie and the chudel tied like this, and take the dog leading, rather than God leading, the dog is leading. And the dog doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants his electric post. And when the dog approaches the electric post, then the post is, oh God, he has come again. And then after going there, what the dog does? First of all, he will do Atma Pradakshina. And thereafter, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidhu. When even an ordinary electric post has problems, and if we have problem, what is great about it? Accept cheerfully. Don't become miserable. See, friends, then you are going beyond all the objects and relations. So we have to go beyond time by refusing to create I. And I is created when we get identified with anything which is finite. See? When I get identified with a misery, I have become miserable. Mr. Miserable is born. Can we remain miserable 24/7? No. We cannot. Misery is also finite. Then the joy comes, we become joyful. That also goes away. So what is a birth? Birth is identification with the finite is a birth. And that birth is Mr. I. See, friends, come to cognize this principle. When we are functioning in this world, let I be not born. Then alone we transcend the limitation of time. And the limitation of the objects of the world, when the objects and the people of the world have no freedom to destroy our peace within. Dukkheshu anudvignamana. See? Second way we get caught up in this world, objects, by being too much attached to comforts. Our spiritual practice is to remain in a comfort zone. Little bit of difficulties here and there, everything becomes upset. Little bit difficulty. Come out of the comfort zone. Remaining in the comfort zone is a bondage, it is a slavery. See, once I went to Kailash Manas in Tibet, and one lady, she organized from Kerala, from Nepal, on our tour. And she herself didn't come. I said, Mama, why you are not coming? Swamiji, I cannot come. I said, it's okay, don't come. Why ask question? She said, do you know why I am not coming? I said, I don't know, but I don't want to know. You must be having some reason. Don't come. No, there is nothing special reason, but the main problem is there are no commode toilets there. So those who are attached to the toilets, how can they think about God? Many places, in small villages or towns in India, they write, on their hotels, attached rooms. Attached rooms means rooms with attached bathroom, that you have to understand. So those who are attached to the bathrooms, how can they think about God? See, friends. Therefore, let us get out of the comfort zone of life. Let us face all that comes cheerfully and happily. Then alone we are beyond the influence of objective world. Such a person is living in meditation. Life becomes very simple, friends, thereafter. There is no difficulty of any kind. Dukkeshu anudvikramana, sukheshu vikadasmaha. And when you accept it, then you will see in every place you will enjoy it. See? Like, when I move around the world, when what will go inside my Madhya Pradesh, I also don't know. See? Then how to keep it going? So you try, if you have got some problem of your stomach, 5 black pepper, those in the morning raw, chew them and eat. Along with 5 almonds which we have kept overnight or 24 hours in the water, skin it out and chew along with that. Your digestion will remain perfect throughout the day. Anything you eat, nothing will disturb. See, these different things you don't get in books. When I was having many years before some problem because of this eating, one old lady told me, Swamiji, you do this thing, it will be all right. And I did. It is the best medicine. See? So instead of complaining, find out the solutions. Thus, we start living in this world beyond the influence of time and object. See, friends, time, space and object, these 3 are like the 3 legs of the tripod. You catch hold of one and pull, other 2 will automatically come. Out of these 3, catch hold of any one. And the simplest one is the time. Remain in the present. When we start remaining in the present, we don't bring our past, we don't worry about the future. Thereby, we are present in the present 100%. 100% presence is perfection. 6 sigma perfection. 100% presence is pure love. Love is not writing on a Mother's Day, Mom, I love you anyway. Take. No. See, if you want to see what is the meaning of love, you must have seen in your life, your children or grandchildren, the child is wanting to talk to the mom. And mom is busy reading useless novels, James Hadley Chase. So the child comes, Mom, I want to ask you a question. Is there life? Beta, don't you know mommy is reading? After reading, I'll tell you. Okay, go away. Again the girl comes. Mom, I want to ask you a question. Is there any life? Again she doesn't reply. Third time the child comes, puts her 2 sweet little hands around the face of the mother, pulls the face towards herself. Mummy, I am talking to you. Means what? She wants 100% attention. 100% attention is possible if we are 100% present. I have been talking here for 74 minutes. Don't tell me how many minutes you have heard me. In between, went here and there. I don't know, Swamiji is not stopping, he is becoming garam and garam. We are unable to remain 100% present. 100% presence is pure love. So when this girl was asking, the mother got angry. Okay, I know your question. Is there any life after death? Yes, there is life. No, mummy, this is not my question. Then what is your question? Is there life after marriage? Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.